What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are talking Project Ascension again today, and in today's video, we're actually going to be discussing the tier 6 bonuses that are going to be coming along in Highjaw and BT eventually when those pieces of content do get released. With Ascended ZA being taken down within the first day of release, we are looking forward to the next big chunk of content, which is going to be Highjaw and Black Temple. And Gray, I don't know who else has been reaching out to the community, but they have been asking basically, what would you guys like to see in the tier 6 bonuses? And if anyone has been a part of my channel for any amount of time, they know I love tanking. And today we're going to be talking specifically about the Prot Warrior tier 6 set bonuses. Now, the tier 6 set bonuses haven't been released to the public as to like what they're exactly going to be on release. And with Gray reaching out to people, I'm assuming they're going to be wanting to take other people's input on this. And this is kind of my ideas going forward into tier 6 about how I would like to see the Prot Warrior be played and the T6 bonuses that we're going to get on this gear, because this is the end of the expansion gear set, right? We're not going to get any more tiers past this. We're going to be going into Highjaw, BT, and then of course Sunwell. So this set has to be a banger. If you guys like these videos and things like, remember to subscribe below. It only takes a second and it's free. Give it a like while you're down there as well. It really does help out with the YouTube algorithm, trying to get this video out to as many people as possible. We go live every day over on twitch.tv/Drydick_TV. We're doing pug raids, giving away gear, giving away bags and gold to newer players. So if you're a newer player or a returning player, want to be a part of that and the community, go and follow over there as well. Without further ado, let's jump into this video, guys. Let's go. All right, so here we are in game. We're actually on my main, and I'm going to give you guys kind of some context on what my gear looks like, and then we're going to go over kind of the theorized or proposed T6 set bonuses that I have come up with. I actually have two different versions, and I kind of want to explain a little bit before going into those, and then once we actually get into those, we're going to explain kind of how I thought about this and how they're supposed to synergize, okay? So just for context, this is what my tank gear currently is. Tanking is like my primary off-spec for the guild. It used to be my main spec for a while, but as gear has increased and kind of taken some time off the game, I really don't have the best of tanking gear, but for reference, this is kind of what he's looking at, okay? So we're item level 135, and if I run my avoidance macro, I'm currently sitting at 102.6 and then some other things. So the CTC cap is 102.4. That means every attack is either missed, dodged, blocked, or parried, and that's kind of what you're going for as tank. Now, specifically with shield tank, that's really only achievable at the current moment. I don't think any other tanks can currently get to that value outside of cooldowns, and I'm there statically. But the thing I don't really like about the trinity, right, the block, dodge plus parry, is the fact that to be the best prot tank or the best shield tank, what you're actually trying to do is increase your dodge and parry as much as possible, because if you can fully avoid an attack, it's much better than taking any damage, right? So by the numbers, I do know that just trying to push dodge and parry, as high as you can is technically the best way to play shield tank, and for me that kind of feels a little wrong. I'm a shield tank. I want the thing on my arm, this gigantic, you know, wall of armor and block value, to be the main source of defense, okay? So for me specifically, what I have done, I've actually sacrificed some of that, and I'm running a little bit of a weird setup. This is really strictly for main tanking bosses in raids, but it does work fairly decent in mythics. The way that I have it set up is actually capitalizing on righteous or the holy shield as much as possible. The reason being is because with no raid buffs, if I pop holy shield, I'm at the hard armor cap of, I believe it's 32,000 and some change, maybe just flat 32,000, but I'm at 75% physical mitigation. Now, the way that I have mine set up is actually reducing the cooldown of Hammer of Righteous by, about a second, and then in the talent tree, I actually take Guarded by the Light to get 3 seconds extra on my holy shield, and then with divinity, every time I'm healed by any effect, that is the cooldown is then reduced by 1 second. Now, in a fight where I'm getting healed a lot, even with just a bunch of hots, this is ticking every 1 second, and I have about a 60 to 65% uptime on the hard armor cap, and it's extremely powerful. But my block value kind of suffers, right? It's not that much, so my block itself doesn't really block a whole lot, so I'm kind of relying on that hard armor cap to really get me there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump over to the first set of tier 6 bonuses that I have kind of theorized. I'll pull up a graphic somewhere around here. You won't see see any more in-game footage. So let's just go ahead and jump over to that and then discuss that, okay? All right, I'm gonna pull up a graphic of what I first submitted to Gray. So I'm gonna kill the webcam so we can go over this together, okay? The Prot Warrior, what is the objective? In my opinion, it should be block plus block value. Before the Righteous Fury / defensive changes, they always had the most defensive cooldowns of any tank archetype. Is this desired, or should it be more consistent amount of survivability moving forward is the question I wanted to raise to Gray. Depending on the vision you have for balancing tanks in tier 6 content, as it currently stands, every tank archetype is fairly well represented even in the highest levels of content. They all have their place and time to shine, which is fantastic in my opinion. I have a long-standing love for shield tanks, so I'm going to want to see my favorite style be badass. Going down to the second one over here, the way tanks currently play, at least shield tanks, is pushing pure avoidance as high as possible, using block / stamina as a filler defense. From a number standpoint, I understand that technically this is the best way to play a shield tank, but from a thematic standpoint, I feel this needs to shift, specifically for Prot Warriors. This spec I would like to see be the king of steady mitigation. You may not ever be the pinnacle of raw mitigation, aka see Bears pre-nerf, sorry Abandon, but I'm envisioning Prot Warriors being the consistent tanks. Amount of damage taken, a steady amount of damage over a fight makes your healers much less stressed in the middle of really intense encounters. This would also allow you to use cooldowns to their highest effect in the most crucial amount of times in fights. Let's go ahead and pull up the webcam again so we can go over this together. So the 2-set bonus, using Devastate increases your block chance by 2% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, fairly basic. 4-set bonus, each time you critically block, your block value is increased by 25% for the next 3 attacks made against you. The 6-set bonus, whenever you block at least 2,500 damage, your shield block cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds. And the 8-set bonus, your shield slam critical strikes apply lesser shield wall to you for 9 seconds, reducing damage taken by 20%. Your revenge critical strike chance reduce your target's attack power by 20% for 9 seconds. These effects have separate internal cooldowns lasting 16 seconds and cannot occur simultaneously. So this is kind of the generic Prot Warrior, right? So this is incentivizing using shield slam and revenge, but they could very easily change the wording to include Shield of Righteous and maybe like, I don't know, Hammer of the Righteous, right? To give Prot Paladins an ability to use this set, okay? So the 2-set bonus, starting from the to bottom and going to top, giving you 10% basically free block for a 2-set bonus isn't really that powerful, maybe not that exciting, but it's generic and really wants you to incentivize getting block chance and pushing that as high as possible, okay? So 4-set bonus, this is kind of where the critical part of the sets really start to take place. Each time you critically block, your block value is increased by 25% for the next 3 attacks made against you. Now this obviously is really, really powerful using Bulwark, because while you're in the effect of Bulwark, you critically block everything whenever you block, and that would basically just give you a perpetual 25% increase on block value against basically every attack that is used against you. Would that be OP? Possibly, depending on how far we can push block values. So this might have like an internal cooldown attached to it of maybe like 4 or 5 seconds to give a little bit of downtime, so it's not 100%, you know, pure upscaling from there. Now the 6-set bonus is, okay, whenever you block at least 2,500 damage, your cooldown and shield block is reduced by 2 seconds. I think this is a really cool way of incentivizing using this set over other sets and really pushing block value really, really high. Giving someone a clear target of this is how much damage you need to mitigate to get this effect also feeds into itself, because while shield block is up, you get higher block chance and block value, and then this just feeds into itself because you're blocking more and more, you're blocking more attacks, blocking more mitigation, getting more mitigation out of it. So it feeds into itself very nice. So it's a very simple mechanic, but gives people a clear objective and a way of gearing and playstyle that really would incentivize giving some identity to defensive stance Prot Warriors specifically. Now the 8-set bonus, giving you a lesser shield wall, reducing damage taken by 20% for 9 seconds. Of course, obviously can be adjusted for balance reasons. And then Revenge, reducing the attack power by 20%. I just went off what the ambidextry RE was for like the timings. This obviously could be adjusted, but Depending on where they want power scaling to lie within the set bonuses really is going to determine the balance and really the direction of tanking in tier 6. Now, there has been people suggesting that like there should be more power on like the 2 or 6 set bonuses, or 4 and 8, or it's kind of equally spread between. In my personal opinion, I think the 4 set and the 8 set should be kind of like the 2 really big step ups in power gain as far as performance, and then the 2 and 6 set bonuses allow for hybridization to take place while not completely breaking the game, right? So if you combine this like even 2 4 sets or a 6 and a 2, it would allow for more class customization, more theory crafting, more build opportunities down the road, but also giving people incentive to be like, you know what? No, I love everything in these set bonuses, and when combined, the 2, 4, 6, and 8 version of each set is powerful enough. It would allow people who want to be simple about their gearing process, just give me the set bonus. I don't care, it's good enough. Or for people who really want to eke out all of that little min-maxing possible, they could look to hybridize these sets and maybe get more and more power out of that at the most extreme cutting edge cases, which would appeal to someone like me who's a giant numbers nerd. So I really think this set would kind of accomplish some of that as well. So this is the second version of what I'd like to see some tier 6 set bonuses possibly being. Just ignore the other stuff. I'm just going to keep my camera where it's at because you don't need to read it. It's literally the same. So just focus on the stuff over there, okay? So the 2 set bonus, critically blocking an attack, increase the armor gain from your shield by 5% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. The 4 set bonus, the duration of your shield block is increased by 10 seconds. While under the effect of shield block, your block value is increased by a further 50%, but you can no longer dodge or parry attacks. 6 set bonus, shield slam criticals decrease the damage of the next magical ability made against you by 20%. This effect has a 16-second internal cooldown. 8 set bonus, each successful block reduces the cooldown of your shield wall by 5 seconds. This effect has no internal cooldown. Fully avoiding an attack increases the internal cooldown by 2 seconds. That seems like a drawback, but I'll explain as we go over this. So starting from the bottom going to the top. 2 set bonus, critically blocking an attack increase the armor gained by your shield by basically 50%. Now obviously if you use Bulwark, you're going to critical block everything during that, so this would get up very, very quickly. I think you'd be able to still maintain this even with using Crimson Champion and other REs if you're going to be doing a shield block tank. So this is really, really powerful. Giving your shield 50% armor isn't that big of a bonus, but it is decent. And then if you combine that with Holy Shield, getting 300% armor total from your shield would be insane. Like you saw earlier at the video, you can get a ton of armor just from using this cooldown, right? The 4 set bonus, the duration of shield block is increased by 10 seconds, but it does not allow you to dodge or parry attacks. This is where I want the flavor and the clear separation between dodge, block, parry tanks to really come alive, right? This is where like the pivotal change in how you gear and how you play the spec is occurring specifically for this version of the T6 sets. So you increase block value by an absurd amount, but you basically remove block and dodge off of the table while you're shield blocking, okay? So the reason I want to do that is because I want this set, this version of it, to be like, I don't care if I get hit. I actually want to get hit because I'm going to get more and more bonuses based on how many times I'm going to get hit. So it might be weaker up front right off the start of the fight, but as the fight progresses and all of these things start feeding into each other, you're going to eventually become even better than those things that start good at the start of the fight and maintain a very consistent amount throughout the fight. This one, you're going to maybe start off a little bit weaker, but by the end of the fight, you're going to be much, much stronger than your other tanking counterparts, okay? The 6 set bonus is reducing the magic damage you take from the next thing by 20%. Obviously, that might be a little bit too broken. It could be adjusted for balance reasons, but, you know, traditionally, shield tanks struggle with magic damage without using a cooldown like Cloak of Shadows or, say, Dispersion or like Pain Suppression, right? You're going to be struggling against magic-based damage, right? So I wanted to give this set specifically a 6 set bonus that's going to reduce magic damage taken, and you might be able to combine this with a 2 set of a different set, right? So really, really powerful there. Obviously, things can be changed for balance reasons, but this would give a little bit of a nod to like, okay, we know you struggle with magic damage, and going into tier 6, I believe there's going to be an immense amount of magic-based damage going into the tanks, so this will be really, really powerful. powerful. Now, the 8 set bonus, this is an upside, a huge upside in my opinion, but also comes with a downside, which I think incentivizes playing, and that give and take I think is much more fun than just a 100% bonus all the time. So each successful block reducing the cooldown of your shield wall by 5 seconds is crazy powerful in my opinion. I wouldn't expect anyone to get like 100% of the time on shield wall, but even reducing the cooldown by say 2 or 3 minutes is crazy given a longer fight, right? Fully avoiding attack, increasing the internal cooldown of this by 2 seconds really drives home the flavor point. Don't avoid attacks, take them, and then get better as the fight goes on. That is how I envision this specific version of the T6 set playing out for Prot Warriors. It doesn't matter if you take a little bit extra damage at the start of the fight. You can use a cooldown to kind of tide you over. But by the end of the fight, you're going to be just a god among men when it comes to tanking, being able to get these cooldowns like more and more often, shield wall coming up, increasing shield block by like 10%, 10 seconds is crazy powerful, getting more armor, reducing magic damage taken. I think this version really drives home the flavor and be like, if I want to be a block tank, right, and I'm relying on the thing on my arm, I want to get this set in its entirety, maybe an off piece here and there, but this is the set I want to go for. If in my perfect world, the first version is good, but in the second version, this is exactly kind of how I would want to see block warriors, specifically Prot Warriors whose defensive stance, play out. All block value, and you just become even more resolved as the fight goes on, and by the end, you are just the best tank in the world. I think it would be really, really fun. Without taking up any more time on this video, let's go ahead and wrap it up. What do you guys think about these ideas? Now, obviously, these are just my first drafts, and they can be refined or changed. I'm not saying this is exactly how they should be, but this is just my submission to Gray and the team, and hopefully maybe they take this in consideration. But more so, I want to spark some discussion in the community. What do you guys want to see out of the T6 sets? Because ultimately, we're not getting any more gear after tier 6 until Wrath of Lich King comes out. So these sets have to be amazing. They have to be super fun, super powerful, push power to the breaking point, right? That would be really awesome. But also, we want flavor, we want mechanics, we want interactions, we want options. We want to be able to be like, I want to take that piece and I want to take this piece and combine them into some awesome thing that maybe is not, apparent when looking at these sets. This has to be, in my opinion, the most impactful set to come out, because this is it. We're not getting any more gear. So this has to be awesome. And I have been told by the veterans that Naxxramas gear and Naxxramas raid was amazing back in vanilla, and the team has done great things with that. So I'm really hoping that the team takes into consideration what I want and what you guys also want to make T6 as good as it can. Without any further rambling, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this video up. If you like it, remember to subscribe and hit the like button down there as well. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!